Are you an indie podcast or content creator looking to reach a wider audience? Look no further. Introducing Podcastic, the ultimate podcast network designed exclusively for indie creators like you. At Podcastic, we believe in the power of unique voices and fresh perspectives. We're here to amplify your passion and creativity, connecting you with a growing community of engaged listeners who crave original content. Podcastic is more than just a platform. It's a support system built for indie podcasters, offering a range of resources to help you succeed. From tailored promotional campaigns to professional production assistance, we're here to help you shine. Our intuitive platform makes it easy for you to be seen and heard. We do all the heavy lifting for you. You just show up and create. Plus, with our advanced analytics, you'll gain valuable insights into your audience's preferences, allowing you to refine your content and grow your fan base. Ignite your passion, expand your reach, and thrive with podcasting. Visit our website at www.podcasticlife.com to get started. Podcastic, the home for indie podcasts and content creators.
Welcome to Put Your Family First podcast, 5-time award-winning podcast, the 5-time Oscars award-winning podcast, Put Your Family First, where today we continue with part 2 of Navigating Men with featuring our special guest, Dr. Heather Rue. Hello, Dr. Heather.
Good day, good people.
Good. Brother Dave. Hey. So we're in the building, and of course, as usual, there's some framing that is taking place. I'm gonna frame you, you frame me, and that way one of us is going to jail, right?
No.
Right. So
it's a different kind of lockup.
Right. Don't let me out. Said I'm locked up. So yes. So today we're gonna really get into it because I am, frankly, absolutely up to beyond my eyebrows and watching continuously. The recent conversation was by Mrs. Wade, Dwayne Wade's wife. Right? Mm-hmm. So she comes out and she does what a lot of them do, right? We're very comfortable with attacking black men. Mm. She comes out and she attacks black men.
Oh, wow.
About voting. She'd had no statistics before she even said anything, because if she just did a little research, she would know that black men who voted for Trump, it was not even that significant. Mm-hmm. In fact, the biggest problem that we do have is that black men don't vote. Mm-hmm. And Michigan is 650,000 black eligible male voters. And because, a lot of them, I don't know, whatever the case may be, mm-hmm. But they don't vote. I don't know if it's, I can be silly at this time, right? But I don't know if it's the weed. I don't know what it is, right? I don't know if it's the literacy or whatever.
But they voted to get it passed, didn't they?
Right. Well, I know, right. But I know that, some of them jumped up and decided they were going to vote for, and I know why, right? I expressed, and it's starting to come out, but I expressed that men are looking for something for men. Mm-hmm. There are a lot of lies in politics that something just doesn't happen for men, right? And so I kind of get it. Mm-hmm. And so here is a movie guy, TV show guy that knows very little about government for the second time. And we have another tragedy. Here he is again, and he gets to repeat another tragedy, mm-hmm. right? And which, the men that decided to vote. And then, I don't know if you've seen the videos. Man, this young brother did a video talking about he's doing the March Coolness. Oh man, it's hilarious. It is the funniest absolutely hilarious, where he cites the different men who speak against black culture, right? Anyway, we're gonna get right into this. I wanted to, put that out there. Remember, tomorrow night is, the Boys Matter, where we'll be doing a webinar. And Dave, me and you gonna get together. We're gonna put one together ourselves where we start pulling these boys and their families in. But where we're gonna be doing it on the Emiy way, and I'll be talking to the parents, giving them tools and things like that tomorrow. And then on the 27th, we actually have a webinar. It's $27, and there are a lot of things they'll get. Anyway, Dr. Heather, today we are exploring part 2 of Navigating Men. We are discussing and sharing insights about things nobody told us about men. Here are things that nobody told us about men growing up. Number 1, men can be emotional. They can be sensitive and get their feelings hurt too. Dispelling the myth, real strong men don't cry, that they are insensitive. I think it's a combination. We kind of do both sides. 2, men have friends that they have emotionally vulnerable conversations with, dispels the myth that men only talk about limited subjects, sex, sports, and jokes. Number 3, men like romantic movies too. It's not those B movies, but right, it's not just for you. In fact, research shows that couples that watch even romantic comedies tend to stay together and stay together long. Men are not the experts on a woman's body. Women are the experts of their own body. Your responsiveness often activates his GPS and or memory. Number 5, seasoning with love and prayer in your man's food is the real soul food. Even though many women can cook, they often leave out these critical ingredients. He feels that impact over time. 6, peaceful women is a prized possession. Peace is the top three needs of men, according to most relationship studies. Number 7, men prefer a natural woman. That is facts. Men say that women who are natural are more attractive long term because there is no mystery who you may wake up to. They tend to be more conscious and connected. That is a fact. That is a fact.
I can't help but think about when the Wayne brother woke up. Fire, fire, fire. She was natural. But he had to go.
Right. Right. And so, and then number 8, respect grows as he ages. Men change as they age. What's important has meaning, and value also changes. Number 9, men don't see themselves aging the way women do. Men tend to see themselves as they were at their prime more than their age beyond 50 plus. I don't know. I think I'm making 60 popping. I don't hold back my age. I tell them. Right? Number 10, a man's sense of smell and sight work together to form a strong memory imprint. Smell is a strong sense, and it's a direct connection to the brain and its memory function. Why is this important to women who want to navigate men? Navigating men is an educational process. It educates you with awareness and the tools for alignment. It helps us demonstrate readiness and seriousness for healthy relationships. It opens the doors to better communication by understanding his language. Yesterday you sent me that link with the comedian. And one of the things she said is men like it simple. And she asked the guy in the audience, he said, "Did you like it simple?" He says, "Yes." She said, "See?" Right?
Right. She nailed a lot of that conversation.
Right. So take it away, Doc.
Well, so just to go back through the list and just really give some deeper insight. So and have some conversation with the men in the studio, right? So what is your thought around men can be emotional? Do you think that is a true statement, that they can be sensitive and get their feelings hurt too?
Yes, of course.
How can we dispel this myth for women? What are some of the ways that we can dispel this myth
Well,
based on your experience?
First of all, the first thing is if I decide to lay my vulnerability at your lap and you discredit it or do anything with it, it's going to be hard for you to get back. The number one thing that men look for is a place where he has peace so he can lay his vulnerability. But if I decide to trust you with my vulnerability and you decide to use it against me, you're going to pay. Because the first thing a man remembers is the first time he was mistreated. And he's going to go back to that, and it's going to trigger. And it's going to put him in a whole different plot.
And so when you say vulnerability, lay my vulnerability in her lap, what does that mean for you?
That means trust. I'm trusting you with how I feel. And I'm telling you.
To not be judged.
Yeah, if I come to you with something and I'm telling you how I feel, right? And you go, you're immature and you be like, boy, bye, or any of that, which I really haven't experienced that, right? I got to be honest, I haven't had one of those, right? But if that is the process for when I come to you with my vulnerability and you see me as weak, you've already lost me.
And that would include judgment, joking about it, whatever it is that you're sharing, making, not just joking, but making fun or bringing it back up in a way that it is inappropriate. I would imagine that also means that, sharing that information outside of your pillow talk or your bed chamber or however you keep your private moments. So sharing it outside of that also is another way to break trust.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Dave, what about you? What do you think?
Yeah, I often think about this statement is saying men don't cry. Well, I said, well, if God didn't want men to cry, he wouldn't give them tear ducts. Mm-hmm. So we know that's a reality from birth to present date. What I find that I really don't know how this got to that point outside of the pseudo image that they project on the big screen, that men are tough and what have you, and they don't express their emotions. But as I said to you earlier, anger is an emotion in itself. So it may come out in different forms, but as Calvin said, no man should have to feel he has to hold back his true feelings and emotions just to validate the pseudo image that the world projects that this is what a man looks like. And so, and emotions are not gender driven, they're given by God. So when you look at a person and you say they don't have feelings, then you already negated the design by God, because he didn't make men insensitive. He didn't make men without emotions. Otherwise, he'd be a robot or android. So men have feelings just as much as women. They just may be expressed different. But one of the things, and I'll close on this, one of the things, the reason to express different, because society say we have to be different. And that's a disservice when it comes down to the emotional connection or the emotional intelligence needed to be able to properly interact. And as Calvin say, be effective in your communication.
That's awesome. And so, ladies, you are hearing this from the male point of view, and also to understand that it is his feelings and his emotions are to be respected. That means that they have value. That means that there is an opportunity for you to understand his language. And if he's sharing with you what his language is, what his hurts look like, his present and past hurts look like, that is a tool for you to help to communicate better, not just with him, but with men also in your circle. That there is some truth and some element that is a thread for most men. And so to be considerate of that, it is to respect and value it as well, meaning that you hold it in high regard. That you are even being trusted with it is holding you in high regard. And so that is a element of trust that continues to build, and you can build on that. You can also break that trust down, and that's kind of what Calvin had mentioned, and Davis also shares.
Well, it could really, one of the things you need to understand about men is you could really trigger a monster. You can turn this person into a completely different person just because I brought to you my vulnerability. You accepted it, but you didn't take care of it. And because you didn't take care of it, and you have an idea as to what that looks like, you could trigger me, and men, real men, will put their foot on your neck. In other words, we'll dog you. We will straight up dog you. Some of us are mature enough to go ahead and let you fly and let you go away and move on. But some men, there are a lot of immature men that when their emotions are involved, that they turn to something completely different. And that's where it gets dangerous. So you got to understand, and it's no different for a woman. When a woman brings a man her vulnerability, he is supposed to protect that. So it really, we just think it's one way. We seem to think that this relationship thing is just one way. And we see it in the divorce rate. Well, I'm tired, I'm fed up, I'm this, I'm that, and then y'all go. Emotions, right? The man is still there ready to work, whatever, however it looks like. But in that divorce rate, it's always some emotion. It's about somebody didn't make me feel. Mm-hmm. And that process is very, very dangerous for healthy relationships when the only thing that we have to be concerned about is how you feel.
And there is a possibility for disconnect. So, as you are navigating this, I just want to acknowledge Dr. Vatanji, who is commenting, who also shared that she's a mother of 5 sons, that, that this is a part of the awareness that she is absolutely connected to. So she's verifying and validating that as well. And so I think it's important that we understand that if we want to, our role is about building one another up. And at the point where there's this disparaging conversation around what you're sharing in a way that is not healthy.
Said it right there, brother.
Then this, these are things that start the breakdown of communication, start the breakdown of relationships. And so I appreciate you sharing it, Dr. Vatanji, because as we look at this in terms of our romantic navigating men, we also have to acknowledge that we are also navigating men. We are mothers and teachers and aunts and grandmothers of the very same boys that eventually become the men that we're asking the question, where are all the good men? And so this is how we protect the good men. This is how we help support them and elevate them, is through this bond of trust and understanding that they have feelings too. So number 2 was men have friends that have emotionally vulnerable conversations with. And so most of us, if you're looking on the inside, or if you have the privilege of peeking into a man's conversation, and I'm just going to acknowledge this because I think this is important, because this involves Dave and Calvin. I know that they are part of a men's group. What is it?
Lean on the Father.
Yeah, Lean on the Father. Mm-hmm. And I'm just super excited that it is a platform for men who are fathers to have real conversation and to pray together with one another and for one another. I think that is one of the most powerful tools that I have seen or heard of in a long time that relates to men and friendship and fellowship together. Can you guys share a little bit about that and your thoughts on men having emotionally vulnerable conversations with one another? Because the myth is that you guys don't talk about that.
Brother Dave.
Yeah, so the beautiful part, we also want to incorporate Melvin, who is also the lead on the Lean on the Father. And a part of that is allowing men to have a safe place where they can come and share and feel that they get support, not criticism or redirection that says your feelings don't have validation. So that allows for the men to be able to be open beyond the topics of sex, sports, and jokes. And we get into the heart of things as it relates to our spirituality, our humanity, our relationships, and things of this nature. One of the things, as the doc presented, she has, several boys. And I was thinking to myself before she made her comment that sometimes we seem to forget that the mother raised boys, and she gets to see the boy grow into a teenager and potentially a man, and watches emotional challenges, because in many cases the boy go back to the mother to discuss what he may not be able to discuss with his father because the father may be tied up or busy, but she can open up to him. So the feelings don't go anywhere because he becomes, quote unquote, a legal adult. He still goes back to his mother years later. As a matter of fact, they got this line, which I don't care for, called a mama's boy. And I don't have no problem saying it. Yeah, I'm a mama's boy, but I'm a man that she developed. So I love my mother, when she gone to glory now. But we had sensible conversation that went into depth to prepare me, not just to interact with women, but to interact with people and to understand better myself. But again, you can't give what you don't have. So mothers have to prepare themselves so they can help prepare their sons, because as I told Dr. Heather earlier, even from the biblical days, the father would be gone because he had to go hunt, he had to go provide, he had to go set up. But the mother was left with the responsibility to help rear the boy. But there was a classic line that most people growing up knew about: wait till your father get home. That meant his presence meant something. Today, we don't seem that to mean the matter. And again, that's deep-rooted in emotions across the board with the men and the women. So having this opportunity when we lean on the Father together, it gives us a chance to express those feelings that society says you can't express, you shouldn't express, you're weak if you do express. So you put all these connotations on it that make men very, let's just say, reluctant to express themselves in the fullness. But this is where our safe platform exists.
So Lean on the Father, when we came with it, was out of Good Fathers Only, right? So we were already, we kind of already was moving. It's very tough to get men active. We discovered that. And a lot of that comes from, in my opinion, the upbringing, right? And where you go. There's a great story where I'm talking about valuing fatherhood. It's in the Bible. King Herod looked out and saw David was preparing for the war. And he asked, whose boy is that that's leading this group, this war? Who is that? Whose son is that? And his servant turned to him and told him, it's your great servant, son, who raised that boy. My point is, when we talk about lean on the Father in these groups and saying that we don't value that message right there. Whose son is that? See? That in itself is a value add to the culture, to the people, to the men. But the question came from the king. So they were in this conversation about whose son was that. Lean on the Fathers about that. I'm in 3 other groups across this country where men do that very thing. We have these conversations. We get on Zoom. These men are running organizations all over this country. We have these moments, right? So it's to me, probably, I know for me, when I started Good Fathers Only, I was already having these conversations with men anyway. So that's a myth. The problem is that you're not privy, right? You're not privy to me sharing what I share with Miles. Because what I share with Miles is between me and Miles. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that all we talk about is booty and all of that, right? What it means is we have conversations about how much pain we in. We have conversations about, these are conversations that we generally have. And he found someone like David. I found someone that we could have those conversations with. So you're not privy to that conversation, again, because how can I trust you with this conversation as you and I have a friendship. So I can say to you, I'm talking to you as a friend. Mm-hmm. See? I can say that this conversation is strictly, this don't have nothing to do with me. This is us having a friendship conversation. Mm-hmm. That's a huge component to understanding and navigating men. If you get in his space, don't get in his space as a problem. Mm-hmm. If I allow you to come in and we're having these conversations and I'm trusting you, mm-hmm. Listen, but don't get in his space, because that's his space with his friends and his boy. And oftentimes that conversation, because I'm always in conversation with men, right? Just like she's always in conversation with women. The truth of the matter is that you have to understand the man in his totality. Mm-hmm. But if you only come to the table to navigate this man for what you want, you're going to lose. Mm-hmm. It's a loss.
Mm-hmm. For sure. And I think also what's important to understand and to know is that iron sharpens iron. And I appreciate that you say, that women should stay out of the way. So if I know you're in a conversation, I'm going to excuse myself from that space, because I want you to be able to have a complete, full conversation, and I don't have to witness that. That's not my business. My business is your security. My business is your well-being. And if this contributes to that, that's where I excuse myself from the space. Right. I think that's really important to respect, and as a form of respect, to give him his space. And I have my moments where I want to be there with you, but it's just not in those moments when you are in conversation and dialogue in that way. Right. And so understanding boundaries, that's about setting and understanding boundaries in his language. Right. So third, men like romantic movies too. It's not just for you. Women, our sisters out there. However, you may want to give some thought to the types of romantic movies that you may watch, desire him to be a part of, and kind of honor his boundaries around that. So I know that one of the boundaries that is set is that no repeated movies, and what he considers B movies. Well, that's gonna be a little bit shaky, because I support black film, and often some of those black films may seem a little offbeat. A little beatish. Right. So, but understanding that even in that, there are some boundaries, and be able to give and take. And so, and it is a way to cultivate conversation. It is a way to express things that you want, and him express things that he wants when it comes to those types of movies. It opens up a dialogue if you use it properly. It is for entertainment value, but you can also circle back and make it some value that is a value to your relationship. So thoughts on that, the man in the studio?
Yeah. Well, I do have a different twist, because no matter what movie I'm watching, I'm trying to figure out what the writer, the producer, the director, and all the characters are presenting. I can't even say when I ever watched a movie outside of being a child where I went analytical. So watching romantic movies, matter of fact, I call myself a romantic. I like that. One woman told me that, sometimes men who are like that are fools. And I just politely said, well, you're the fool, because if you can't receive the goodness, kindness, and gentleness and acknowledgement of you and your value when a person tries to be romantic, you missing the picture. The romantic is in a good place because he knows what he's doing. He's serving, not looking to be served. The other part of these romantic movies, if you sit down with someone who's into them with you, have the direction it goes, him to her to you, there's a lot of lessons learned. So I'll give you a real fast one. So a young lady I was deploying overseas, she asked me to look at this movie called Notebook. I was like, yeah, okay. So, and she looked like Captain Hepburn, and so she left. Now, I still was standing when she came back a year later. I knew she was coming back, and oh, shoot, I ain't even watched that movie. So I hurried up. I made it a Sunday to watch that movie. And what was so amazing about it, it was, if you haven't seen it already, it was basically the chronological development of the couple, the highs and lows, breakups, and all this thing. And so I won't give the spoiler alert what ends up happening. But the depth of the movie meant something. And so when she came back, I told her, I said, I watched the movie, like I haven't been really watching it, for a long time. But I watched the movie, and because I was analytical at it, I realized that there are so many good qualities in some romantic movies. You just have to look for them. Now, when it comes down to the B movie, there are some pieces I'm a little concerned about because they become redundant and predictable, so there's nothing to intrigue me per se. But every now and then, like another movie, Love Jones, and then I think they're going to make number 2 of that, I think, there was some depth. But you got to look for the depth in any movie, so that's where I'm at.
Awesome.
So for me, sure,
tread lightly.
it's
Tread
so
lightly.
for you to say that men are just not romantic, we are. Our romance, we like our romance to lead to the to the final outcome, right? But in order to navigate men in romance and understanding the type of romantic movies we had, like, it's key. I'm not sure that we will run out and select every good movie. We find movies that we find that are romantic, which is, it's okay. You know what I mean? For me, for her, it's B movies. B-A, Biggie, Bye, B-O, Bo. Biggie, Bye, Bo, right? And so I try to...
That is not necessarily true.
I try...
Or the same pitch.
Right. I try to get into the movies, right? Make sure that ain't us, right? So I try to get into the movies and pick the pieces. Every time I watch a movie, I kind of know the outcome, or I can pick it, right?
I say predictable.
It's predictable, right? But there have been some good romantic movies, right? And there have been some movies that I've had to go through, for her to watch, right? Because it made her feel a certain way. That's something that I can give up, right? I can do that for you if I stay awake, right? Because we'll fall asleep if the movie too boring anyway. Because that might be the time that we get it. But romantic movies for me has to have a sense of seriousness, and it has to have laughter, because I love to laugh. It's just such an important thing that the movie has to have play in it. So, I know that may not have answered, but I try to participate when I'm asked, right? And, that's an area that I need to reignite in myself, me being over romantic, bring out some of them tools. But a lot of it is I'm at her request, I give it. So if she wants me to sing, I sing, right? That's her romance. So that's where I'm at.
Bark like a dog. Woo, woo.
Right.
No, just kidding.
Right.
All right. Well, number 4 is the conversation about men are not, and I'll say not necessarily the experts on a woman's body. A woman should be the expert for her own body.
Amen.
And as you develop that expertise with your body, you help him understand how to pleasure you and your body, instead of having the expectation that he's already supposed to know all of the things that are that arouse you or that stimulate you, and just know where to go. Each woman's body is different. And there may be subtle differences, but there's still a difference, and that has to be honored. And so our men in the studio, the question to you: do you feel that women expect you to know their bodies better than they do?
Well, I think that is part of the expectation, and because of that, you know, when you do come to the table, you know, women have this expectation of what you should be because she has fantasized about being with you anyway. Any woman that comes to be with you or wants to be with you, she's already been with you in her head. She already selected you. She saw you at 3 bars ago.
Yeah.
You was at 3 bars. I saw you walk through the door, and you came walking in bar 3 later, and she already knew that that's what she wanted to do. So that comes from experience. A lot of men don't have that experience. A lot of men have the experience of being the pursuer and going for it and telling lies to get to her and talking swift and things like that. She had already had you butt naked and everything. You know what I mean? So for me, I don't know, but my job is to get to know her body.
There you go.
And I think that's the piece that men are not necessarily always allowed to do. To get to know a woman's body. He's predicated, again, on providing a spectacular performance that he has no clue of your touch points or anything, right? You just expect him to walk in the door and do this thing and then, all right, have a nice day, right? And, well, that's kind of on the masculine side. Communication before we get out is always important for a woman to express to a man what she likes and how she likes it. I think that's an important piece when it comes to men navigating a woman's body.
Yes. This is dear to me because when I was a kid, when I say a kid, I had an experience with an adult. I was a teenager.
Right. Yeah.
And so she enlightened me that every woman was different. And so with that being said, it began to start me on this quest to find the differences in different women. And I went to the extreme. I'm a statistic kind of guy, analytical guy. So I said, well, what if I meet, I'm just going to use this so it'll be simple. What if I meet 10 women who are tall and 10 women who are short and 10 Aries and 10 Scorpios? And so doing the statistics without understanding statistics, I went on a mission, right? I went on a mission. And that mission was very successful, I may say.
Right.
You know, I really looked like something back in the day. So, you know, I say my looks get you, my brain keep you. So, but at any rate, that opened up a door for me to understand that women didn't know their bodies. Women didn't understand what they required. Just like they had expectation of the man to know, it should be that the man can have expectation that you know what you require. The other part of vulnerability, the woman usually say, well, you should already know. And again, some women want you to rub their feet and others want you to rub their head. And you should be able to tell me that with confidence because you understand what the makeup of your body is in order for me to be able to fulfill some of those needs. But that's not effectively communicated. And in most cases, when people get together, they just go at it, and it's just kind of Discovery Channel. You know, if I turn this one, we'll hit that, and if I turn that, we'll hit this. Right. And it shouldn't be that way. Just like you got a TV guide back in the day, right. You need to have that same thing to be able to effectively relate to the woman you're with. And y'all should be able to identify that and be patient with one another because it's a skill set. As you discovered your body, you got to give him time to discover it as well. And then it will change because the woman at 20 won't be the woman at 50. No. So it's so many aspects when it comes down to knowing first and foremost you're not the expert. Now this I'm going to say in close. The other part is these pseudo images that the world projects about what men should be like. Again, there was a time you couldn't get with a Biggie Small because they would laugh at him. Right. Then all of a sudden Biggie Small became important. He became that man. Let me get the big guys, you know. There was a time it was tall, dark, and handsome. 1 minute it was the Smokey Robinson. So it's always changing, and it puts men in a very difficult position to know where you fit in the midst of all.
Right.
So being able to have an opportunity where you can relate to a woman who likes you from the inside out. You're not bombarded with all the time, because this I know from behind the closed door. There's more ED ever in young people. I don't even get that concept. Physiologically, you should be good to go. But because of the anxiety, the pressure that's put on these young men to be able to meet expectations that are unrealistic, they're suffering with a disease that should be a 90-year-old problem. But it's not. It's an everyday problem.
Yeah, they burnt out. They burning themselves out too.
No, they can't even do nothing.
Yeah, them young boys on them pills. Yeah. And them pills, they burning themselves out. And you finding that to be a real issue. But you are absolutely right, Dave.
Yeah.
Right? That's what I was saying, that a lot today's young man, right, which is an issue, she's more experienced than he is. Mm-hmm. Right? Today's young men, 1 in 30-year-olds are not even having sex. Mm-hmm. And because you handed your son, I'm going to go to my soapbox was it. And because you handed your son that video game, his sex drive is being sapped out right through that headset.
Yeah. And it's an easy escape. Talking to the behind the closed door, it's an easy escape. I don't have to meet an expectation because it's too much. You know, you don't see any commercials about, well, you know, if your man can't get it up, then, you know, blah, blah, blah. You don't see that for women. You don't see a commercial, well, if he's not this length in you know, in his anatomy, then at the end of the day, no, you know, he's not good enough. That's a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
That's a lot of pressure. And so we have these ways of projecting images about men that men can't meet. So I ain't got to do that. Just like a guy that can't fight, he can get on a video game and be a superhero, but he can't hold his own out on the street. So I can escape here. It's an escape.
It's an escape.
And so thank you for sharing that. I know these are pretty intimate questions, so I do appreciate you all giving insight from the man's point of view.
You got a little bit of the lead of the father there. No.
And so you mentioned some important things. One of the things you mentioned was the prevalence of the ED, erectile dysfunction. Mm-hmm. And one of the ways that a woman can help to navigate men is to understand where and what foods have different levels of testosterone and what foods have more levels of estrogen. Mm-hmm. And if you're not paying attention to what you are eating or what he is eating, you could be giving him the more estrogen, which will also affect his drive. It'll affect him and whether he is more sedentary versus more active. Mm-hmm. It's real. And the other part of that is if you are not preparing his food in a peaceful way, and your seasonings being the love and the prayers that you have for him and over him, if that's not your ingredient in your food, you may want to pause cooking. Because he can get something at Coney Island, and a lot of our men are at Coney Island for breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
That's where they are. Mm-hmm.
I mean, you see it if you pass by, you see where they are, mm-hmm. and they just want a meal. But it's also company. A lot of the people that work in those Coney Islands are women, intentionally women who are attractive women, younger women, and who are serving men. And so I'm not going to even get into, relationships outside of the Coney Island, mm-hmm. but because I know of a Coney Island, just one in particular, and the manager specifically hired young, attractive women, and that was one of the requirements to work in there. Now, if you've gone to certain spaces that that is what they specialize in as well, it is a reason for that. There's a reason why the men are at Coney Island. That is not just around the food that is conveniently served. It is also who is serving them. And if you remember that we did not get to that yet. Oh, we didn't get to it yet, but Calvin brought it up. So the sense of smell and the visual image is also a connection that keeps men going back to the Coney Island, because they associate the smell goes directly to the brain for a memory imprint that goes along with the image of the women that they're seeing there. The attractiveness, the friendliness, the kindness that they're offering as servers, because they are in a servant mentality. All of that is drawing attraction, and it gives a man a quiet place to be, and it's making an imprint on him that you don't really have the understanding of, that you can do yourself at home. Mm-hmm. And so it's really important to really give some attention to how you are preparing, and the connection that you're having with him. What is the real imprint that you are making on him? And here, these are two things to give attention to. So, Calvin, Dave, I know that you both cook, but outside of cooking for yourself, where do you find the joy in your food? I mean, is it something that you can say, well, my mom used to cook the best this, and now I'm looking for the best this?
You know what? It's funny. I graduated that, right? I literally graduated, my mom's cooking. And I say that because, age, and I lost my mom early. Mm-hmm. And so, right, because that diabetes was something else. Because when I think about when my mom cooked, my brothers and them got more of that, because I was never at home. I was always out, sports, girls, singing. I was always at the house once I got into high school. But, ice cream, those types of things. But a woman that can cook from her heart, and understanding when a man says that might be a little too salty, and can make the adjustment. Well, I don't really like a lot of salt on my food, and make the adjustment, right? Those are the things, you hear me, is really valuable to the food and understanding. And so we're always in a conversation about certain things, that we like, more vegetables, because when we first got it, that's what I'm give me the veggies. But it's a different environment, because now she's consumed my memory from her cooking. So I know when she makes fajitas, it brings back memories. I know when she cooks her fish, it brings back memories. Those types of things, lasagna, different things like that. So for me, that is the blessing, that someone is cooking healthy for you. Because they could easily be like she said, we can go to Coney Island. You keep eating at Coney Island. And you'd be like, one of my hoopers was, he had, at a young age, he had to go to the doctor. He was like, what's wrong with you? He was eating subs every day from the store, from the corner store. That's what he was eating. And it was causing his body harm. So, eating at home and getting that piece is such and because I cook as well, I'm always experimenting with a new something that's beneficial to our bodies as well.
Yeah, but one thing is true, the cooking brings about memories because it brings about connection. And as I keep looking at this printout, Real Soul Food, that it was such an important piece in the fact of sitting down and fellowship and building memory. They made a movie called Soul Food. Because it's touching the soul, it's touching the heart. And when you have someone, whether I cook or she would cook, it says that I'm valuing you enough, especially if I'm cooking what you really want to eat, I value you enough to take the time, because cooking is an art. And it's a skill set that people have to invest in, otherwise it's willing to throw the hot dog in the water and boil it and eat
right.
it all day, So you got to be invested. So I think that I remember I cooked for a young lady. She said she never had surf and turf. And, man, you thought I had just gave her 4 gold bricks.
Right.
She was happy, man. And but again, I did the whole makeup. It's presentation. But the presentation ain't it. When you go in, as the man said in the movie, when she bit into all that food, she was ready to slap her mama. So took off her socks and started digging in the carpet. It was so good.
Right.
That's what you want to do.
That's what you want.
It's an investment.
Right. And thanks, Dewan, for chiming in. He says we're never taught how to eat right. And that's another part of it, right? For our elders, they knew a lot more about the connection between foods and medicine and the land. And they had reasons for doing things like for holidays, why they put cloves in ham and why they put pineapples on ham. Like all of those things, they knew that there were some health properties. They didn't pass down that part of the information. We just started doing it because of the flavor. They were doing it because of the medicinal benefits of the cloves, of removing the parasites and cleansing the food and using salt to draw out parasites. That was a large part of why they salted meat. Other than just preserving it, they were pulling the toxins out of it and making it healthy to eat. The same thing for the different types of combinations of fruits and vegetables. Why they put certain herbs and spices in their dressing. Like all of these things were really essential. Why they used cinnamon in the ways that they did. All of those things were essential. It is a part of the art that you mentioned that has not been passed down. We got the recipes, but not the recipes, right? We didn't get what causes and prevents the mess from happening. Right. And so we need to be better at that and better understanding what we're pulling together for the health and well-being.
Relationships require it, right? It's a give and take. If all you got is demands, you know what I mean? All you got is demands. I demand you. I demand you. I demand. You're not gonna grow.
And I know we're about to wrap up. I want to make sure that we talk at least about the value of a peaceful woman.
Ooh, yes, Lord.
Because some women, have not found their space of peace yet. But they want to be in a relationship, and they have been in relationships, and they don't see that the lack of peace is a part of the turmoil, the chaos that's created in their space, in their environment, and in their relationship. They don't see that because they believe that, well, I'm just expressing myself. I'm just telling how I feel, and I'm just, I don't want to leave any mystery, and I don't want all of these different things, but they're also missing the opportunity to express peace in their space and who they are. And so if you guys can share a little bit about your thoughts on how women bring peace, is it something that's of value, and how does that look coming from your perspective? So
I'm gonna let you have this one first, Dave.
Yeah, well, I think the first thing, a peaceful environment is an understanding environment. I believe that when two people can sit down and relate, it's not about right or wrong. It's about getting understanding. And in most cases, we find that people want to express their right. But our rights are very limited. God's truth is what you want to build on. So if you build a foundation that says, hey, look, I'm willing to listen to you. The scripture says, be quick to listen, slow to speak, slow to anger. If I listen to you, I can better understand you. I've sat there and listened to many, many people over the years, and they begin to tell their story. And if you're not willing to listen because you're so preoccupied with getting your point out, you're going to miss the big picture. So I think a peaceful environment is when one can sit down and they can listen. Even if you don't get to talk that time in that time frame that you're talking, you're listening, you're taking it in. That says you have value, you have importance. Chaos, all that back and forth, bitter attack. I just dealt with a couple the other day, and I said, what is the prize? Because at the end of the day, all I see you doing is throwing darts at each other. If you're doing that, you can't create a peaceful woman. So a peaceful woman is one who can listen. She, and again, that man has to listen too. I'm not making it just her responsibility. People that can listen, can relate, can break things down. I really believe that you don't need a TV in your house. Now, That's just my view. I like TV. But I think that you should be able to dialogue with each other for hours because you're trying to understand each other. This would eliminate a lot of that chaos. But most of the time, we're not trying to understand each other. We're trying to prove our right and not validate each other. So a peaceful woman is the one that listens.
Yeah. So for me, peace is literally, the word P begins with a praying woman.
Yes.
She has to be a praying woman over the environment, over the man, right? It is a prerequisite to peace, right? Then she has to see me equal, right? In terms of understanding that I too have some things that I want to share and that I'd like to see. That the manipulation is not at the table or the expectation, but the equal understanding. Mm-hmm. And then there's the always come to me and explain and express. That's peace, right? You can't yell and scream peace, but we can talk peace. Mm-hmm. You can't expect peace when you've brought nothing but manipulation to the table. Mm-hmm. And the real peace that you are looking for is whenever we go home, when we return home and come home, that is our place of peace. So we shouldn't bring in the strife and those things. But if you spend time in manipulation, if you spend time having expectation, if you spend time watching people say what you're supposed to get, not understanding that your relationship itself, the one that you have with this person, right? It's where most of the work is supposed to go. It's not supposed to go because YouTube or what's the name told you this is how you're supposed to, and your girlfriend telling you, well, he ain't had a job and you don't know. Here's something that we miss. And this is why culturally we are affected. This year, right, coming up is year 38 of the Stay-at-Home Dad Convention. And I always bring that up because these are options for healthy outcomes for the children and the relationship. They found that men who stay at home with the kids were just highly as effective as the mother. So if you're going to make more money than me and then hang it over my head, you're not going to have peace. If we come together and I make more money than you and hang it over your head, we're not going to have peace. Period. Money is one thing. Peace is a completely different environment. You got to have a plan for the peace, just like you got to have a plan for the money. And I am big on understanding that, again, peace is also touch. If you can't touch me in a way that moves me, right, then you're not really bringing that peace. And so therefore you're not going to have that thing that really says, baby, I love you.
Mm-hmm. One of the things I'm going to say real quick, my mother taught me this early on in life. She said, and my grandfather actually taught her, which both of them told me the same thing, don't complain, explain. See, there's a difference in complaining because that creates that chaos and anxiety and everything where you complain and griping and criticizing. But when you explain it, that's where understanding comes in. And it may not be comprehend right away, but as long as you take that time to explain it and you're willing to listen and understand it, you can effectively communicate.
Dave, tell them where they can reach you.
You can reach me at FMAM for Men About Men Facebook, and you can reach me at drome7@yahoo.com.
Dr. Heather is on you.
I just want to acknowledge the one, as he was sharing some comments about listening and how important that is, and sometimes that growing up in a single household has been an issue for a lot of women. So thank you for making those comments, and that it's important for women to also stay in their word. So I just wanted to acknowledge that insight that he's sharing. And so you can reach me at www.yourinspiredjourney.com, and you can also reach me by phone at 313-759-7855.
So you can reach me at calvintman.com. The powerful thing that has been displayed over the last 2 weeks is really getting to know from a different perspective about what real men want and how you can get this from real men. And I'm going to touch this and throw this out there because again, the outcomes in a relationship is so important when the two of you, right? See, if we take lies out the game, if we take manipulation out the game, right? If we take out the willingness, this thing that I'm always right. If you take those three things out of your relationship and you talk and you get into there are tons of books on relationships. There are tons of people that's talking relationships that have no idea or clue, because whatever your relationship is going to be, it's what you all make it, right? The village is suffering enough from the accusations that it's always her fault and it's always his fault. That has to change. And so if you're looking to navigate men better, you might want to get in touch with Dr. Heather for the Navigating Men series. We are probably going to start bringing this point to the table a little bit more, because she's at the table with two men who are very successful at helping people and helping people in relationships, right? And so with that being said, remember, the relationship that you build, the relationship that you water, and the relationship that you govern is the relationship that God needs to be in the middle of it in order for your relationship to last forever. My name is Dr. Calvin T. Mann. You have been listening to Put Your Family First. God bless you and encourage me. I'm young. Peace.